Good to have you with us this evening here at Roundhouse Radio 98.3. I'm Kirk LaPointe. I'm your host every night between 6 and 8 o'clock. We're continuing our conversations with candidates in the May 9th provincial election. And in this half hour, we're going to look at Vancouver West End. I'm happy to have three candidates with me. Actually, right now, I can be honest about it. I have two candidates. One is rushing in here at any moment. But it's great to have James Marshall of the Greens, Nigel Elliott of the Liberal Party. And here he comes. Oh, I see Spencer Chandra coming in right now from the NDP, so we're going to have him in a second. Good to have you all with us. And
Thank you.
I thought what we'd do by starting in a conversation like this is why someone wants to be an MLA. Why do you want to? James, you start on that one.
Why do I want to be an MLA? It's, I guess, because I want to help. I mean, that's most of it. Is there's a lot of things that are passionate issues that I care about that I've tried to help out with just volunteering, and have not had as much success as I would have hoped. So I thought best way to get change to happen is to run and put your ideas forward.
Do it yourself.
Yeah, do it myself. Yeah, essentially.
Exactly. Nigel, why would you want to be an MLA?
Sure. So
2017, lots of other things to do with your life.
Yep. So I think that the West End is a community that's given me so much as a person. I've been coming here for so many years, since long before I actually moved into the riding, and that's because it's a place where I've always felt accepted and tolerated. Sure. I think it's because that's a community that we have here in the West End that really celebrates its diversity. So I see running as an MLA as the best way that you can give back to your community, or one of the best ways that you can do that. And I know from having worked in government in a number of different roles, that one of the best ways that you can represent your community is through having a voice at the government table through elected office. So that's what I hope to do.
Spencer Chandra Herbert, we got you in the room.
I am here. Thank you so much.
You found a parking spot.
Getting out of the West End if you're driving is very difficult, but I'm glad to be here.
They need to do something about public transit, don't they, in this city?
Certainly to this location, absolutely.
And parking as well. We need all the application we can. What draws you into being an MLA? Why do that? You could do so many other things. All three of you could do all these other things.
I guess I've had a life of service. I was taught from a young age by my parents, volunteer, get involved in your community, and to be able to do that in the West End now full-time as an MLA since 2008. Well, more than full-time, I should say. It's incredible what you can do to help your neighbors and build a better community, and I've loved every minute of it. There's so much more to do, obviously, but what a privilege.
Yeah. What are you hearing out there? What's as you knock on the doors? What are you hearing, James?
I mean, one thing I'm hearing is that a lot of people, didn't vote in the last election. I don't know if you know about the turnout for the West End, but it's lower than the provincial average.
Oh, is it? Okay.
It's only about half of people. So a lot of the people I've talked to say that they're just not interested in politics. You know, half of the people I talked to have said that.
Why not?
Well, exactly. That's why I'm trying to get out there. That's the thing that motivates me the most. Is that's a huge block of people who are not engaged, who don't feel like they have someone to vote for so far in the past. And that's a big focus of what I've been trying to do, is try to talk to people who, aren't the hardcore voters who show up every time, but the ones instead who haven't voted before or just have not felt that they had a place to park themselves politically.
All three of you are considerably younger than I am. But is this a young person's thing, Nigel? Where people say that they're disinterested or indifferent somehow?
I do think that, unfortunately, that lower voter turnout is overrepresented in younger communities. Yeah. And I think James alluded to this as well. I think that in the last election, it was something like 44, or voter turnout for people under the age of 35 was, I think, something like 44%.
Yeah, at most, yeah.
Yeah, so I do think...
And I think the evidence is that the first time that you have the opportunity to vote, you tend to vote. It's the second, third, fourth times where you completely drop off, right?
Yeah. I don't know. I've certainly found that once people have voted, a lot of them continue. It's getting that first ballot in the box that really counts, because then you go, okay, there's no mystery to it, and you engage with the process. A lot of West Enders are new to the neighborhood. It's a apartment community in many ways.
That's true. Yeah.
And so they don't know where to vote. They're new to the community, and the stats show it takes you 2.5 years or so until you feel really settled in a community before you engage with its politics. And I see that a lot in the community. Longtime residents, very involved. New folks are interested, but they say to me, I'm not sure if I'm an expert. I don't know who to vote for or what the issues are in the community, so it's going to take me some time to get involved.
I'm going to go double back here to Nigel, because I didn't get a chance to get your answer on what you're hearing as you knock on doors.
Sure. So I think one of the issues that I'm hearing most about is around affordability, particularly around housing affordability, whether you're an owner or an aspiring owner or a
That's
renter.
so
which-
unique to your
which
riding.
no, but
It's worse in this
there
riding,
are
I
certain
think, if
things that-
anything, but
I
it's
think
not
Certainly
unique.
for renters in a big way.
Yeah.
Indeed. So I think the West End is unique in that we are a community of something like 80% of us are renters, right, including myself.
Yeah.
And we've got significantly lower than average, I think, vacancy rates here. So that's causing a lot of pressure on prices. And I think that that's probably among the top issues that I'm hearing are concerns around affordability. And so I'm pleased that the BC government is doing or has taken a number of measures to try to address this issue. But again, it's something that I'm hearing a lot about in our community.
Is there more to do?
I do think that there is more to do. There's a few things that we are currently doing. We've got a 15% foreign speculation tax with the name of driving down prices and allowing more people to get.
James's party wants it to be 30.
I
Yep.
saw that.
Yeah,
Yes.
and we want to spread it out to the entirety of BC as well, because our party leader, Andrew, lives in Victoria, and he talks a lot about people just moving over there.
It's happening there.
Yeah.
Yeah, no question. Spencer, what are you hearing on the doorstep?
Well, yeah, affordability, but I'll be specific. Most of it's coming from renters, and specifically feeling that they're being pushed out of the community. The BC Liberals' refusal to act for renters in terms of dealing with things like fixed-term leases, geographic area increases, rent evictions.
Yeah,
the list
geographic
is long.
area increases. I think a few of our listeners would know what that is, but that's largely you go and look at Craigslist and
You make up a bunch of.
find out that somebody. Well, I've heard that too, where you
You say they're charging way more over here. I'm going to charge you way more here,
and you largely get approval.
yeah, well, and that's why I introduced private members legislation to ban that practice, because a 43% rent increase might as well be an eviction for most people because they don't have that kind of money laying around. And unfortunately, the government has refused to act for renters, and I've been pushing this for years. And too many people have been pushed out of our community, and too many are on the edge of being pushed out of the
I know
community.
the NDP is looking at a $400 rebate for renters. It means tested. I'm not quite sure what the cutoff is there in terms of it. But, what do the other two of you think about the rebate idea? James?
That does not sound like it would take a significant dent on my rent personally. I think that would probably get me back to about what I was paying last year, which is not huge, especially as I believe it's per unit, right? And there's already 3 people sharing my unit. So we're splitting that one between 3 of us anyway.
Yeah. Nigel?
So my view is that I think that there hasn't been enough clarity around the NDP proposal in terms of the mean testing aspect of it. I think that a lot of people would see concerns with somebody who doesn't necessarily need this rebate being just as able to take advantage of that rebate as somebody who clearly does need it. So I always think that whatever the government program or services that we are providing for people, we need to target those services and programs toward people who need it the most. And that's why we've got a few different programs in place currently that target subsidies toward people who do actually need that little bit of extra help.
You come in at this in a slightly different way. Spencer, I was a little confused on the first day of this announcement because it seemed as if it was for everybody. And so someone who's making a couple of $1 million a year is going to get $400.
And I hear that.
It's a rounding area. So what is
The argument for it, I think, really is that homeowners in our province get a grant, a tax grant to pay for their property taxes. The BC Liberals support that grant. The Green Party supports that grant. I don't get why neither party supports a grant for renters who
too,
effectively pay the property tax of their landlords anyways. And I think it's just a matter of fairness. Obviously, it doesn't change the affordability question for renters in a massive way, given the way that rents have gone up. But it helps. And I think rather than saying no renter, you're a second-class citizen, you shouldn't get a grant. Meanwhile, you homeowner who actually own property, sometimes multi-million-dollar property, can get a grant or a partial grant. I think we should look at renters and say, you're people too. You deserve the right to get a grant to put towards your expenses, just like homeowners have been getting.
Yeah. We've got about a minute or so left in this part of the conversation, but James Marshall from the Greens, pick up on that.
So the homeowners grant that's currently in place is also like a fairly flat thing that goes to anyone, a homeowner who owns a very expensive home and someone who's struggling to own their home. Like the rental grant that's proposed there, it's also a flat one. Our policy on that is we would like to transition that to be more progressive as well.
Right.
So hopefully, get progressive across everything.
Yeah. Let's take a break here. This would be a good spot to take a break in our conversation and come back and talk after the break. I'm lucky to have the three principal candidates. Are there other candidates, by the way?
There's a libertarian and an independent.
Oh, that's not. We somehow
I've met them. They're nice guys.
We somehow couldn't get them here.
Yeah.
But anyway, we're talking to the three of you. Spencer Chandra Herbert is the MLA actually in the riding for Vancouver West End. He's with the NDP. James Marshall is running for the Greens, Nigel Elliott for the BC Liberals. We'll be back in a moment to continue our conversation here at Roundhouse Radio 98.3.